Angel fans, it's baseball season. We're almost to games at spring training. I can't wait. Pitchers and catchers have reported, and the rest of the team is supposed to arrive this weekend. And so, since it gets really hot in Arizona, John and I thought we'd share some hot takes here on Locked On Angels before we get into all the spring training games. We're going to share 6 things that we think will happen with the Halos during spring training. So hang on to your butts. It's time to get locked on with Mike and Jon, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you want to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, aka the Super Halo Bros. My name is Jon, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother Jon.
Hey, it's our 3rd season here at Locked On Angels. We're excited to get started with 2024, and we're only a few weeks away from watching some spring training games. We're going to be here 5 days a week, all through spring training and through the season, having the conversations you want to have as Angel fans. Now, I know that Artie Moreno spoke to the media on Wednesday, and there is certainly a lot to respond to there. So we're going to be covering that on tomorrow's show for Friday. And the reason why is because we'd like the dust to settle a little bit, because he made his comments, and then there was something about like the stadium deal, and then the mayor of Anaheim said, no, we'd do a deal. So it's just, let's wait for everything to kind of settle first. Mike, I'd also like for us to just kind of like think about and be thoughtful about our responses to what Artie had to say. But we do promise that we'll talk Artie's comments on tomorrow's show. But we are excited to hear the snap of the mitt, the sound of the bat hitting the ball. Man, I don't know if you saw those videos yesterday that the Angels posted, but just seeing those guys throwing the ball and just that sound gets me excited for spring training. And we wanted to share 6 predictions, 6 hot takes, Michael, that we think are going to happen with the Angels down in Tempe. By the way, we're saving our hottest take for segment 3 at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around for all 6 takes, because we want you to hear that one as well. By the way, these are not wimpy takes either. These are, we're certainly probably going to be wrong on some of these, and that's fine, but that's fine with us. Like we want to make some hot takes here on the show. Mike, we have some interesting takes about perhaps someone making the club that might not be expected. Why don't you get us started with the first one?
You ready for this hot take? Here it comes. Miguel Sano makes the Angels Major League Club.
Ooh,
so this right-handed power bat was signed by the Angels, minor league deal. He can play first base, possibly be a DH, something the Angels really could use. So let me take you back for just a moment, recap where he's been. 2015 to 2022, he was with the Twins, had a career 7.6 WAR. That's a baseball reference WAR. His slash line was 234, a 326 on base, 482 slugging, and an 808 OPS with a 116 OPS plus. And he was an all-star, Johnny, in 2017.
That's right.
And he hit 30 home runs as recent as 2019, 34 that season, 30 in 2021. Now, keep in mind, that was the quote-unquote juiced ball season.
The 34 home runs was the juiced ball. But the thing is he's had power all throughout his career.
He's been a power hitter all throughout his career. His last season in the majors was 22. He only got into 20 games before the Twins non-tendered him. And Sano has really struggled with weight, and he did struggle with alcoholism in his life. And that contributed to a lot of injuries like his knee injury. It was one of the reasons why the Twins did let him go.
Now he's trimmed down and he looks really powerful. In fact, he played in the Dominican Winter League, Mike, and that's what drew a lot of interest in him. Over 27 games and 107 plate appearances. He had 20 hits, 10 doubles. He actually led the team, 2 home runs, 13 RBIs, 14 walks, and 30 strikeouts. His slash line is 225 average, 346 on base, 405 slugging, and a 750 OPS. Now, when you look at that slash line, it's important to point out that the Dominican Winter League is actually a very pitcher-friendly league. So I actually pulled some stats from other players that we'd be familiar with as a reference point. First up, Fernando Tatis Jr., who was a teammate of Sano's down in the Dominican Winter League. He hit 346, had a 485 on base, 577 slugging, and a 1,062 OPS.
Only that?
Is that all? Now, keep in mind, that's across just 33 plate appearances.
Right.
So it is a small sample size, and that can be a little inflated. Sano, again, had 107 plate appearances, the fifth most on the team. But then I also pulled Jerkson Profar. Remember him?
Yep.
He's got a 206 batting average, 337 on base, 368 slugging, and a 705 OPS in 87 plate appearances. So I think between the number of plate appearances that Sano got, the fact that the league is pitcher friendly, and the larger sample size compared to Profar and Tatis, he's somewhere in the middle of those two. And again, you can see that the power numbers were there, again, leading the team in doubles this winter league.
So the hot take is that Sano makes the team. Here's some reasons why. First, very, very simple. Johnny, day games and dry weather.
Oh yeah, down in Tempe, he's gonna go off in Tempe, right?
Yep. And he's gonna demonstrate that he still has a lot of power. He's going to demonstrate that he still can hit the ball really, really hard. One of the things that he's been working on, one of the mechanics that he's changed, is he's staying back on the ball and really using the back leg while he's swinging. Better pitch recognition happens when you do that, more power and improved contact, Johnny, which I love to see. His also his biggest issue in the past was striking out. And that was really one of the reasons outside of the injuries that the Twins really didn't want him around anymore, because he was striking out a whole lot.
Right.
But the truth is he's not going to hit for power. He's not going to hit for average. He's going to hit for power.
Right.
And he probably will continue to strike out. And so that's a part of what you get with Miguel Sano, right?
Yeah, exactly. He led the Estrellas Orientales down in the Dominican Winter League in doubles, ranked 7th in OPS and slugging, and a 346 on base percentage. Certainly indicates some good pitch selection as well. So Mike, they could use him possibly as a DH. They could probably use him at first base when Sean Noel needs a day off against lefties, or even just a day off in general. Mike, I think that he's going to make the case to be on the big league club in 2024, maybe take that spot on the bench that Stefanik currently holds. So that's our first hot take, is Miguel Sano is going to make the club out of spring training. You ready for hot take number 2, Mike?
I am ready for this one. Let's go.
All right. Evan White is this spring's Mickey Moniak. Now, I'll explain what I mean here in a second. Evan White was a first-round pick of the Mariners in 2017. He earned a Gold Glove at first base during the 2020 season. He's praised for a solid hit tool, above-average power, elite first base defense. Injuries have cost him a ton of time and a ton of playing time. And he only got into 30 games in AAA across 22 and 23. He had a pair of surgeries on his left hip, a sports hernia surgery. He's dealt with a grade 2 tear in his groin, and he had his first surgery midway through the 2021 season with the Mariners. So going back to the hot take, Mike, he's going to be this spring's Mickey Moniak. What do we mean by that?
Well, remember Moniak's spring last year?
Yes.
It was really, really good. And the issue that the Angels ran into was he was so good, but they had signed Brett Phillips to a major league deal. So they had to figure out what to do. And since Moniak had options, they decided to send him back down, because they couldn't do that with Brett Phillips without DFAing him and going through that whole process. And so the tension was, would Moniak be that fourth outfielder, or would they keep Brett Phillips? Well, obviously we know that they kept Brett Phillips. Now, Moniak made it really hard on the Angels because he didn't stay down for very long, right?
Yes.
He came back early May, and as we know, had a really great season and became everyone's favorite Mickey in Anaheim, outside of that other Mickey that's just down the street. But I think, Johnny, that this could potentially be the narrative for Evan White in spring training, right?
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, you and I both knew that Moniak probably wouldn't make the team because, one, Brett Phillips and that major league deal, which probably wasn't the greatest decision in hindsight. But number 2 was the fact that Moniak at that point probably would have been the fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
And you and I fought for the fact that, no, he needs to start the season in the minors to be in there every single day. And so by the time he came up in May, he was in there every single day.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I think it worked out well for everyone all around. But when you think about Mickey Moniak and the showing that he had last season, I think Evan White is going to have a great showing. He's going to put the injuries behind him. And this isn't necessarily that he's going to make the club, but Angel fans are going to have the discussion that they had about Moniak last year, where they go, dang, shouldn't Evan White be on this team? Shouldn't he start the season with the Angels? So I don't think he's going to make the team, and let's make that clear. However, I don't think that's going to stop the conversations around him from happening, and it's going to be really hard for us Angel fans to be like, maybe he should start the year in the minor leagues. Ultimately, I don't think he makes it, but I think that's a discussion that we're going to be having, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm glad that we're going to be having that discussion, because I want to see these guys who have been on minor league deals, who have been around for a bit, but are still young. We're top prospects at one time. I want to see them actually reach their potential in their performance. I want to see them become who it is that they were supposed to be. And I want it to be really, really difficult for the Angels to make decisions on who's on the roster and who's not, who's at the major league level and who's not, because that's an indication that these minor league guys are rising to the occasion. But more importantly, John, it's trade value. And if the Angels are competitive by God's grace and his miracle this year, then they're going to have all of this incredible trade value, this trade collateral that they could send away and maybe potentially get like a good arm or a good bat.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen every single day. We're just getting started here. Coming up, we've got 2 hot takes about 2 players already on the Angels that you might be surprised we are going to say what we're going to say, to be honest. And so, again, no wimpy takes, just hot takes. And you're going to want to stick around for that coming right up.
All right, so you want to go to spring training. Well, let Game Time help you get to spring training. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see where you're going to sit before you get there. There's all-in pricing at the very front, not any hidden fees or where did that come from type of fees. And then you can buy your tickets with 2 taps and you're set. And Game Time is obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets up until the start of the event, even after it starts, an hour after it starts. You can find last minute seats. They have exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on all sorts of tickets for all sorts of sporting events, but not just sporting events, concerts and comedy and theater and more. And then they have zone deals where you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you'll save about an average of 18%. And the Game Time guarantee means that you'll get the best price, which I love. You can find tickets in the same section and same row for less. Game Time will be like, hey, here's 110% of the difference. Keep those tickets, and then you can buy new tickets at a later date. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app right now, create an account, use our promo code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Again, there's some terms that do apply. Create an account, use our promo code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. Hey, friends, be sure you check out Locked On Sports Today, the world's first 24/7 national sports streaming channel over on YouTube. You can subscribe to that channel and be part of the first ever 24/7 national sports streaming channel, where they're covering the top stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On and the national shows as well. So don't hesitate. Get on over to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and hit subscribe.
We're giving some hot takes, and so let's make some hot takes about some of the current Angels and how the coaching staff will benefit them. So, Johnny, here's hot take number 3 from the Super Halo Bros. Rendon will not make an error at third base this spring. Not make an error at third base this spring. Now, remember, we're up for being wrong. These are not wimpy takes, right?
Totally.
And so, John, talk a little bit about Rendon and our hot take of not making an error.
Okay, so one of the things that drove Angel fans crazy last year was how many errors Rendon was responsible for last season. In 43 games, Mike, he had 8 errors. 4 of them were fielding errors, and 4 of them were throwing errors. And I'm a little
side throw, that stupid side throw.
I know. I was just gonna say, I'm a little lenient on like a fielding error, right? Because you don't know how that ball is going to come off the bat or take a bad hop or whatever.
Yeah.
But the throwing errors were inexcusable. And
Right.
so that lackadaisical sidearm throw that you were just talking about was so frustrating. And then when you don't have Jared Walsh, who's an elite defender over at first base
Yeah.
on the other side,
Yeah.
making you look good, it made Rendon look terrible. So having said that, Rendon still has the ability to make the crazy play. He doesn't let things get past him, or sometimes you'll see him running into foul territory and making the catch over the wall. That stuff he still does good. But Mike, explain our hot take on why he's not going to make an error this spring.
Well, we're really interested to see how Ron Washington's influence will help him to be better, but also infield coach Ryan Goings and his influence on his defense. The question really is, will Wash iron out the issues with Rendon's throwing? And I'm going to say we think so.
Yeah.
Because Ron is great at defense. Ron is great at fielding. And he's not just going to help with maybe the throwing arm, but he's going to help Rendon get in the right position. That's what I appreciate about Ron Washington. Isn't just about like, hey, how are you throwing it over there? It's being in the right position to where the throw isn't a long throw, because it's a long throw from third.
Yeah.
It's not going to always be a long throw. He actually takes a couple of steps in, picks up the ball, and throws it over there. And I think that that's what Ron Washington is going to really be helpful for, and Ryan Goings will be helpful for when it comes to Rendon.
I don't think we'll see we won't see the sidearm thing go away, because Rendon's been doing that his whole career. But I think Rendon is, or I should say Washington, is going to emphasize to take your time, get upright, get your feet under you, don't rush the throw like you were saying. How about a bonus take for Rendon, Mike? You
Okay,
got one,
I'm ready.
right?
I'm ready. Bonus take.
Go for it.
Ready? Rendon speaks to the media.
I love it.
And speaks in English.
Yes, also that. Hey, Mike, are you ready? I'm going to give you hot take number 4. Here we go, Locked On Everydayers. Matt Thaiss, yes, catcher Matt Thaiss, is going to lead the team this spring in both average and slugging percentage.
Come on.
Here's why. Isn't there always that one guy on the team who has a killer spring training and you're just like, him? That guy? He did that? And they sometimes don't have the same results during the season because it's a long season. But this year, we believe that guy is going to be Matt Thaiss. And let me dive into why, Mike. Listen to these stats. Since 2019, every time Matt Thaiss has been in the majors, he has always had an above average zone swing. That means he's taking hacks at pitches in the strike zone, which is the exact kind of pitches you want to be swinging at the plate. And he's had an above average outside the zone swing, laying off pitches outside the zone. In fact, in his time in the majors, Matt Thaiss has had a 74 to 76% zone swing.
Wow.
While the rest of MLB is between 68 and 69%. So Matt Thaiss has been about 5 to 8 percentage points better at pitch selection. But the problem is, Mike, Matt Theiss's big loopy swing that we've talked about since last season. So while he's great at pitch selection, he has trouble making contact in the zone. His contact in the zone last year was 76.2%, and MLB's league average was 85.4. So Thaiss is down about 9.5 percentage points there in terms of making contact in the zone. So again, great pitch selection, but not great at making contact. Mike, why is our hot take that Thaiss will lead the team in average and slugging?
Well, the hardest part about hitting is already there for Thaiss, and that's pitch selection. All indications are that he's seeing the ball well, and he makes good swinging decisions. But what is needed is a mechanical adjustment, and that's where Johnny Washington comes in. He's the new Angels hitting coach. If Johnny Washington can help Thaiss change,
and Ron Washington,
and Ron's going to help too, right? If both Washingtons can help change some of the things about Theiss's swing and get away from that big loopy swing and emphasize better contact, Thaiss is going to be a dangerous threat. And this is something that Washington has helped other players do, like Cody Bellinger with the Cubs last year. Contact, changing your approach, that was the emphasis. And Thaiss always has been a pretty good, solid contact guy. So when he does make contact, he's able to really rip the ball all over the field, right?
Yeah, in 2023, these were his actual slugging percentages versus the expected slugging percentages on different pitch types according to StatCast. So on fastballs, Thaiss had a 315 slugging. But Mike, StatCast says that Thaiss should have had a 417 slugging, almost 100 points higher. On breaking balls, he had a 471 slugging, and the expected was 504.
Wow.
And finally, on off-speed pitches, he had a 242 slugging, and the expected on that was 282. And based on those numbers, StatCast tells us that Thaiss should be performing better, but also has the ability to perform better. He has nowhere to go but up, according to those expected stats. And we think that if he can make a mechanical tweak, because again, making a mechanical tweak is easier than trying to learn which pitches to swing at, right? I think Thaiss already having good pitch selection is a bonus, and he's proven that all throughout his time in the majors. But if he can make a simple swinging tweak, I think that's going to make all the difference, and I think it's going to cause him to have the best average and the best slugging percentage on the Angels this spring.
That was a W take. I like that. That was a winning take. Matt
Only bronze W takes around here, Mike.
You don't have to be a bronze winner like us. You can be a gold winner. Get a W with FanDuel. They're America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So as you're watching the NBA and preparing for the MLB season, you can make bets on all sorts of different things. Points scored and who's going to lead in scoring, all of that stuff. They have quick bets, they have same game parlays, they have exclusive props. It's all available at FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. You can shoot your shot with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
We're saving our hottest take of all for last. But before we get to that, we have one more hot take that's going to happen in spring training. Mike, share with us hot take number 5.
Davis Daniel will open Angel fans' eyes.
Love it.
Now, he's already been on our show, so he is our favorite Angel pitcher.
Yes.
Anybody that comes on our show is our favorite, right? So first, we predict that we're going to see a handful of starts out of Davis Daniel, whether that's, with the regular club or in a split squad game. The reason being is that the Angels will want to get a really good look at him and assess what they have with him. And after talking with him, he's ready to go. He's fired up for this season. Davis Daniel pitched in relief for the Halos last season, earned his first win as a long reliever.
Yeah, and we believe that he has a ton of starting pitcher potential. And here's why, Mike. In our conversations with Davis, now you can watch those or listen to those because we had 2 episodes back in, was that December? Yes, I think so.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, exactly. You and I came to understand that Davis Daniel already has the mentality that Barry Enright is hoping to bring to the Angels starting staff this season. And that is pitch intellectually, throw your next pitch based on where your previous pitch ended up as opposed to where you wanted it to go, tunneling the baseball off of your previous pitch to fool batters. So if you threw a straight fastball and you're going to throw a changeup, you want to throw it in that same tunnel and it's going to come in at a different speed. He already understands that. Mike, honestly, this instilled a bit more confidence in you and me about the starting pitchers down in the minors. And even though the Angels did make some coaching changes down there, which you and I were not too pleased about, it does seem that Davis Daniel understands the kind of mentality it takes to succeed in the big league. So we think that he'll be someone that Angel fans will be talking about wanting to be in the rotation next season. And I also don't think that takes away from the fact that he'll probably get a few spot starts this season, right?
Yeah, I would love to see him get a few spot starts. I would love to see him really do well in spring. And again, because he's been on the show, I've been a fan of him before that, but even on the show, hearing him talk and hearing his focus, like he aligns so well with the philosophy that this pitching staff will have in 2024, John.
Yeah, and desperately need too, because again, it's not just, what did we say on our starting rotation show the other day? It's like, it's not just throwing paint at the wall and just like splattering it all over. It's like an actual game plan. And again, pitching intellectually also leads to pitching efficiently.
Yep.
And you have to remember, there's professional hitters on the other side of the equation, but as a pitcher, you have to do everything that you can to pitch intellectually, pitch well, tunnel those pitches, and essentially just try to fool the guy up at the plate. And that's something that Davis Daniel seems to already understand. And I think that's something that Barry Enright is going to bring to the table. So again, Davis Daniel is going to open some eyes this spring, and people are going to know his name coming into 2024. Mike, the hottest take of all.
Here we go.
For Angel spring training. You ready? Lay it on us, buddy.
The Angels will sign Blake Snell.
There it is.
Hot take. Hot take. Best take. Number 6 take here on Locked On Angels. John, tell us why this is going to be a reality.
Because doesn't it just make sense? I can't even say it without laughing. Doesn't it make sense that the one time in 13 years the Angels splurge on a free agent starter and pay the money, it's going to be for a Scott Boras client who's going to command a bunch of money and then also be kind of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of starter? Doesn't it just make sense? Doesn't it just feel like the most Angels move to get somebody who doesn't very often go into games very far, doesn't pitch deep into games? Now, to be fair, 22 of his starts last year were 6 or more. And we have a rotation that already struggles with that. And so we want to make our rotation better, but adding Blake Snell is going to make that a little bit tricky. But Mike, I think there's some things that we know to be true. If the Angels did sign Blake Snell, what are those? Yeah,
Snell makes this team better. He makes this rotation better.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this out loud. I don't know if I fully believe it yet, but I'm going to say it out loud because I want to believe it, that Blake Snell could make the team a more secure wild card team. Like they could fight for that third spot just based on the fact that he is in this rotation. And there's actually some evidence that he's made some fundamental changes after he struggled out of the gate in 2023, including increasing the use of his changeup and where he's spotting that changeup. In fact, one of our favorite analysts and YouTube channels did a great job, did a deep dive into the changes that Snell made. You sent me that video.
Yeah.
Really good video.
Lance Brozdowski, if you don't follow him on Twitter or you're not following his channel, if you want to nerd out about pitching, he's so good at it.
You want to nerd out.
But the other thing is that he explains things so well. And Mike, there was actually like a fundamental change that Snell made because he came into the season really struggling, if you remember, in 2023. And then about May or so was when he started making these changes. And shout out to Lance Brozdowski for identifying that. And it's like an 8-minute video. I think you'll enjoy it. Look, one of the questions he brought up, and I think that we should bring up, are those fundamental changes enough to stick? Will the coaching staff of whatever team Snell lands with, including the Angels, allow him to keep doing what he's doing? We think that the Angels coaching staff, this one in particular that we have in 2024, they would totally let him continue to roll with what he's been doing, right? Yeah.
And he's a guy who has 2 Cy Youngs and 2 different seasons, and it was in those seasons that he's the best pitcher in the league, and he proved that. He also got more seasons where he wasn't the best pitcher in the league. So he has a track record of being somebody who needs to improve, but also has been somebody who has helped improve the rotation when he jumped into it. When it comes down to it, and this is to John's point, he said that all offseason in terms of signing guys, you roll the dice in the short term and you build for the long term. That's what you said on your GM episode.
Thank you for
saying again.
Thank you for referencing that. I appreciate that you remembered.
Well, you're welcome. It's in the notes. And so Ronnie, if the Angels do sign Blake Snell, what could it cost?
Well, that's the thing. Like you add him now and make some plans for the long term, and next year go get another starter. And in the meantime, figure out which starters you have now are good so that you can go, gee, next year we can count on Snell and Detmers and like, you know what I'm saying? And so I think it's worth it to make an addition now, even though it might not take you to the promised land. Keep building on that. And so in terms of cost, Mike, Snell's entering his age 31 season. The Yankees offered him $6 million, 150. Sorry, they offered him 6 years, 150 million, and he turned that down. But look, it's a it's a staring contest at this point. I mean, Boris, I think, overestimated the market, and he's got 4 or 5 big names still out there in free agency. The one thing I will say is that the Angels could certainly fit this into their payroll, especially if they want to stay below the luxury tax. And I know Artie said that his plan was to cut back payroll. He's not going to spend money for spending money's sake. But look, I just think it makes all the sense in the world for the Angels to look around and go, you know what, we really need a starter. Let's go and get Blake Snell. Like I was saying at the beginning of the segment. So I think it's going to happen. I think that they're going to sign him during spring training. So Mike, before we wrap it up today, I've got our spring training hot takes.
There they are.
Checklist. So just to review, hot take number 1, Miguel Sano makes the Angels Major League Club. Hot take number 2, Evan White is this spring's Mickey Moniak. Hot take number 3, Rendon will not make an error at third base this spring. Number 4, Matt Thaiss will lead the team in average and slugging. Number 5, Davis Daniel will open Angel fans' eyes. And number 6, the Angels will sign Blake Snell. So you can hold us to this. We're gonna keep this going through spring training, and as things get checked off, we'll be sure to fill out our hot takes checklist, Mike.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Once you're done here, check out Locked On Sports Today. It's the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. You can subscribe to it under Locked On Sports Today, and you can be a part of this 24/7 streaming channel, hear all about local sports, national sports. So check it out today.
Hey, thanks for being here today. If you want to follow us for more, get on over to @LockedOnAngels on Twitter and @SuperHaloBros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show, find the YouTube episode, and get in the comment section. Hit that like button on the way down in the comments and get in there because we love having conversations with you. Mike, what do we have on deck for Friday's show?
We're going to recap what Artie said in his interview yesterday to the media, including his no when Sam Blum asked him if he's selling the team. He won't talk to The Athletic, but then Sam yelled out, "Hey, you going to sell the team?" And he said, no. So we're going to talk all about what he said, including that answer tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Yeah, there's a lot to dive into regarding this whole conversation and what Jeff Fletcher reported. So you're going to want to be here for that, friends. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Hot Takes, and we'll see you back here on Friday.
Everydayers, you might remember the name Henry Rodriguez. He was the spring training hero in like the 90s, and he hit like 20 home runs, and then he sucked in the regular